Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're doing a retro review. Now this was a game I got in Christmas of '96 for the PlayStation 1, and it is Iron and Blood Warriors of Ravenloft, which is a lot of words for the name of a game. As I said, it released in '96, the 31st of October technically. It was developed by Take-Two Interactive and published by Acclaim Entertainment. And it is obviously based in Ravenloft. Now, if you don't know what Ravenloft is, it is an advanced Dungeons & Dragons setting that's very much based on sort of the universal monsters and that sort of appearance, like the old Hammer movies. That's the sort of thing they're going for. The Demi-plane of Dread, as it is known, of Ravenloft is broken up into these duchies or baronies, and each one has a High Lord. And these are monstrous creatures of terrible evil, and they're unable to leave their specific realms. And basically, the higher powers of the plane enjoy torturing them in various ways. So the main guy is Strahd von Zarovich, who's a vampire, very Dracula-inspired. And his curse is, obviously, he's a vampire. He made a deal with the higher powers. Because his younger brother, Sergei, fell in love, and then Strahd fell in love with the woman as well. So he wanted to eliminate his younger brother and claim his bride, basically. And to do that, he had to kill his brother, drink from the wound, the goblet, and the knife he killed him with, and he became a vampire. And was rejected by the woman, obviously, because, like, your boyfriend's older brother creeping on you just after your boyfriend's been found horribly murdered. You're probably not open to snuggles at that point, if I'm honest. And she threw herself off the ramparts of his castle. And what the higher power does is it reincarnates her. And every time he finds her, he loses her again through illness or something like that. So he's perpetually sort of trying to get this woman that he can't. He can't ever have, really, but he always tries, like the fool we all are, right? So basically, he's one of the, he's one of the protagonists, or antagonists, depending on which side you choose. The other one is Lord Soth. Lord Soth is actually from another AD&D setting called Dragonlance. That was actually the one that actually got me into Dungeons & Dragons, because I bought a game for the Spectrum called Heroes of the Lance, and it came with a free copy of Dragons of Autumn Twilight, which is a very well celebrated book from AD&D settings and set in the world of Dragonlance. And that's actually how I got into it. So Lord Soth has a tragic backstory. He's a Death Knight. Basically, the gods gave him a quest to redeem his past ignoble actions, but he was on the way to doing this great heroic thing, which was basically to save the world. He was basically waylaid, and a group of elven women told him lies about his wife and how she was cheating on him, and he instead of saving the world, he basically went back and confronted her, and then the world ended. It didn't end, but there was a cataclysm and it was all fucked up. And, you know, he died during that and was brought back as a Death Knight. So, there you go. And he is similarly tortured in the fact that he's lusting after another Dragonlance character called Kitiara, and there's reports of her roaming his Demi-plane of Dread. So, yeah, that's kind of the backstory. So you've got these two lords. There's many more There's many more realms, and realms will form as new lords come in. So it's all very open, and you could write a lot. I never actually played a game in Ravenloft. Did have the source book for it, but never actually played a game in it. It was very disappointing. I didn't really have a standard group to play with. I just played like with one-off friends occasionally, sort of, which that's pretty disappointing. Because like, if you're in a D&D and you can't get a group together, that's bad news bears. But whatever. So what's happening in the game is, when Soth arrived, he arrived in Strahd's realm, and they had a bit of a Barney. Basically, Strahd wanted Soth to do something and betrayed him, and then Soth got his own realm, and now they can't go to each other's realms. So what they're doing is Soth has amassed a group of, I think, 8 badniks from the realms of Dread and is sending them to kill Strahd. Strahd has gotten wind of this and has assembled a group of 8 good nicks, which he is sort of, I think, brought in from Forgotten Realms, which is yet another setting, but I know less about that one, so we'll leave that on the back burner. And has these 8 good nicks to fight the 8 bad nicks in an attempt to save himself. And what we end up with is a 3D fighting game. And if I'm terribly honest, everything that I just told you makes it sound pretty cool. So the bad nicks are goblins, Margoyle, a skeletal warrior, what else? A werewolf, a wizard. It sounds pretty sweet, right? That sounds like a good cast of fighting game characters. Unfortunately, the game itself is very, very janky indeed. It is not right at the birth of 3D fighting games, but they were very early. I mean, we did have things like Tekken and Battle Arena Toshinden at that point. So the 3D fighting game thing could be done, and reasonably well. But not in this case. Unfortunately, the controls are not very responsive. It's very clunky to play. You often find yourself facing away from the opponent, and you can't turn yourself. You have to wait for the actual game to slowly turn your character back to facing it. You can cheese the game a bit, which I've done in the footage because that's the way I roll. By getting like a fast character like Ignatius Max the Halfling or Nimpimply the Goblin, and just cheesing attacks, and you're quite fast, so you can get a lot in and almost stun lock them. So that's the way I prefer to play it. The main campaign consists of picking a team and then fighting each other until everybody's dead on one side, and then you get a cutscene and the game ends. You can pick how many team members you can get. You can do, I think, 3 to 6, and you can assign them a set amount of lives. I believe it's 1 to 4. And for interest of the thing, I set on the lowest team size and the lowest life size, just so I get through and have a look at the cutscenes. The cutscenes at the end don't really go well for that Strahd, really. It kind of fucks him over big style, in the fact that if the good guys win and defeat all of the enemy assassins, then for some reason he's outside on the floor and gets melted by the sun. Okay. And obviously if all the assassins kill the good guys, then you just get a foreboding image of Soth's face hovering in the sky. So he's obviously won. Interestingly enough, though, the Demi-planes of Dread and their foul rulers won't allow their dreadlords to die. Not unless they've finished with them and there's someone else that they can torture even more. So generally what happens is, if you think you've got one of the dreadlords sort of cornered and he's on his last legs, something will happen to save him. Sigh. The setting is superb. I love the setting. I've got a bunch of the books as well that tell the stories of the various dreadlords. Favourite being Vampire of the Mists, where you have an elven vampire, which is relatively unheard of, at least in the setting. And because he's elven, he's managed to retain like a large chunk. I don't want to say humanity. Elvinity, is that a word? I don't know. But his sense of like humanity. So he doesn't like what he is. He doesn't like feeding. There's rumours of like dead vampires being something even more monstrous, and he doesn't want to become one of those. So he sort of just goes on, and he encounters Strahd, and they sort of team up for a while. But as he finds out more about Strahd, he realises he's not as, I don't want to say nice, but you know, he's not as friendly as he's coming across. Even though he gives them village women to sup on and potentially defile. He sounds like a pretty good mate to me, you know, just saying. But whatever. So yeah, highly recommend Vampire of the Mists. This game I cannot recommend, though. as much as I like the setting and as good of a lineup as the cast are, and it has some funky music, even though I'm not sure how well suited it is for a sort of medieval style fighting game. It's a bit techno for that. It isn't really that good because of the combat. When you've got a fighting game with very little to it other than combat, that's kind of what you need to nail, and it just simply hasn't, I'm afraid. It gets points for some of the character designs. They all look very D&D and what you would expect from that sort of thing, but no, the gameplay is just not good. I mean, it is available and you can get it second hand, and it's not too expensive. It will range from what I've seen from about £5 to £20, so it's not expensive. As I said, I've captured using my original copy, which I still possess because I am a hoarder. Running on a PlayStation emulator, which was actually reasonably easy to set up. So yeah, hang on, I'll get the name of it for you because you're jonesing for a PlayStation emulator. Right, EPSXE, which is probably the most popular PlayStation emulator anyway, so you're probably aware of it, but if you're not, there you go. You can install that on your PC and run all manner of PlayStation 1 games off of your CD-ROM drive, if you still have one, and I do, because I like playing old games. I'm not weird. So guys, you can see the footage. It's not particularly graphically nice, even for that stage in the PlayStation life cycle. The animations aren't great. Some of the voice acting is okay. I quite like Nim Pimply when he's like, "So who's for a sandwich?" After he's finished a fight. It seems relatively something I would expect a goblin to say and things like that, but a lot of it's just like, "Gradius, I am a mighty warrior, or I am a dark warrior," that sort of thing, you know. No, can't recommend it, I'm afraid, but it is an interesting footnote in history. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Masters of Terraskazi, in the fact that you've got a license that you've slapped onto a fighting game and expect it to sell based off the license. And seeing as I own both of those, they were probably right. So there you go. That's Iron and Blood Warriors of Ravenloft PlayStation 1 retro review done. Why retro review? Because my wedding is in like 5 months and I need money, so I can't be buying new games. And besides, I don't need to buy any new games. I've got Elden Ring. That's going to take me the rest of my life to finish. Hooray! I'm still playing it and enjoying it, should you wish to know. I am slowly progressing and killing all the big bad guys. Although I haven't killed the second storyline boss yet. I have killed the first one. I've been like meandering around and going other places in an effort to boss up, and I'm upgrading my weapons, and I want to try and find one with bleed on. I think that would be a good strategy, because I just have like an upgraded scimitar that I started with. I haven't really found anything that scales with Dex, which is the build I'm working on, so oh well. This is not a conversation this. Maybe I'll make another video about Elden Ring. I mean, but the other one was a first impression, so maybe I should talk about it more. Because it's a bloody good game, and, you know, it is easily my favourite of the Souls games, and pretty much the only one I was able to really get into. So, there you are. Anyway, guys, that's it for this week. I'll catch you later. Take it easy, guys.